Hello, welcome to your academy. At your academy, today we would be dealing with Introduction to Marxist Criticism or Introduction to Marxism. Marxism is also at times referred to as communism, socialism. At the very onset of this lecture, let me tell you that introducing Marxism would be a very hard task, particularly if we are supposed to do it in one lecture. A simple reason for this being, Marxism is a theory, is a criticism, is an ideology which began after 1850s. In 1848, one of the works called Communist Manifesto came out, and then in 1860s, the writings of Karl Marx and Engels came into fore. Now, from 1850s up to 2020, Marxism has been a theory which has gone continuous development, which has gone through continuous re-evaluations, new concepts have come up, and a theory which has consistently been there for 150 years and has always produced some new critics, some new thinkers who came up with their own ideas, with their own concepts. So, considering this thing in mind, introducing Marxism would be a difficult task, would not be an easy task for anyone. But here at your academy, today, we will try to do justice with this topic called Marxist criticism. And we will try to make it very simple so that our audience, our students would be, in a very comfortable zone in understanding this rather difficult theory. I don't consider Marxism to be a very difficult concept, a very difficult theory, but still there are some people who feel that Marxism is a difficult theory. It could be difficult because it's 150 years old and continuous kind of a theory. It's not like structuralism, which came for 5, 6, 10 years and then went off the stage, went off scene. Marxism has always been there. So, how would we look at Marxism? First question that we will ask is, why did this Marxism came into existence, and or from where did it come into existence? What was the reason for Marxism, this ideology to come into fore, to come into on the stage rather? So we will have to go back to 1789 revolution, the French Revolution of 1789, which brought the democracy or the capitalist system of governance, or what we call as capitalism. Now from 1789, we know how people were so much enthralled, so much attracted towards this new form of government called democracy. And this French Revolution was the most beloved revolution of many poets, including William Wordsworth from England, and many people from Romantic age and down the ages have sung, greatly about this revolution of 1789, about democracy. The American president Abraham Lincoln saying that democracy is by the people, of the people, and for the people. So this new kind of governance that emerged in 1789 found a lot of buyers in the market, and everyone was up to grab this new idea or concept of democracy, which was later hijacked by capitalism. And now, even in the contemporary era, we have democracy along with capitalism, which is one of the most dominant governing system around the world. Now, in context of the 1789 French Revolution, and in context of the democratic set of governance and the capitalist set of governance, after 1840s or after 1850s came an ideology that we know as communism. So one of the important aspects of this theory is that it is an ideology which developed in contrast to democracy or capitalism, in contrast to capitalistic system, are in opposition to capitalist system. So if you want to know what is Marxism, Just define it by one word, you would say it's an ideology which developed in opposition to capitalism. Now, after we have given this statement that Marxism is an ideology which grew in opposition to capitalism, then we'll have to see to it that why did it grew in opposition to capitalism or democracy, which we find in contemporary era to be the best form of governance. But what went wrong then, or what did these Marxist critics say that why this form of governance called democracy, which was such a beloved governing system back then and is even today, was not liked by the likes of Marx and Engels. The other important aspect, if you have to say about Marxism, it would be it's a material theory. Marxism is a material theory. It bases its analysis, its idea on the material things. Marxists believe that the evolution or the progress in the human society can be analyzed and has always happened through material forces. Marxist critics do not go beyond the material things. For example, they will not tell you about your psychology, about your mental state, how it influences the progress of human beings. They will not tell about the mythological forces behind the evolution of human beings. They would not tell you about the religious aspects of human society. They will not even go to the nature, which, for example, some would say that influences human life or human beings on earth. So these things do not matter for Marxist critics. They believe that the progress, the change, the evolution, the revolution, anything that takes place in human society is because of the material forces. It is the material forces. When it comes to the material forces, what are the material forces? One of the narrowest definition of this material forces would be economic forces. It would be money, it would be land, it would be wealth. These would be some, narrowly defined terms. If we say what material forces they mean by wealth, they mean by money, they mean by land, and they believe that if we have to produce a society which is, rich, developed and content, the most important thing is a content society, a satisfied society, a group of people who would say that yes, I am satisfied with the way things are going. Now, if you have to create such a society, then the distribution of these material things equally is very important, which means that we have to distribute all these things equally. So, when these Marxists, believe in material things, they also say that even if you have to see history, you have to look at history from material perspectives. So there is an important concept in Marxism that we call as historical materialism, where they say that even history can be best understood if we understand it from material perspectives. And all the changes, all the events that have taken place in human history would become very relevant if we look at them from material perspective. That is another aspect of this Marxist criticism. One was that it is in opposition to capitalism or democracy, and second, that it is a material philosophy. And third thing important about this Marxism is that this Marxism is actually a struggle to create a classless society. Now, this is very important in context of socialism or Marxism. They strive, both Marx and both Engels, they also strive to create a society which is not based on classes. Because it has been a case in human society that our societies have always consisted of classes. And those classes are of various types. Say, for example, that in Indian context, there would be that class system that governed the societal structure in India. But that class system was very much derived from the religious scriptures or from the religious teachings. So that was one way of, classifying the society. And in Europe and in human society, the other dominant class system has been based on the power, based on the resources that human beings have. There is a section of human beings in a society which is more powerful, which has more resources. So that would be dominant class. There is another section of people who do not have that much of resources or that much of power. So they are another class. So there are another kind of people in the human society who have got no power, who have got no resources. So they would be another kind of class. So one class would be based on the religious teachings, based on the religious scriptures as we have had in India, and the other was all over the world, where people would be divided based on what they have and based on what they don't have. And this also we know as haves and have-nots. So that was another aspect of human society. And Marx and Engels also believed that we should struggle, human beings should struggle to create a classless society. Now this classless society is in every sense of the word, but in Marxist perspective, they would not say that it is the religion who has created the classes and now we have to forget the religion in order to forget the society. No, they say that these classes are created because of the unequal distribution of wealth, and we can remove these classes by creating an equal distribution of wealth. So these are the three important aspects of Marxism or Marxist criticism, or what we would say is the basis of Marxism. This is what Marxism does. And even today, in the contemporary times, Marxists strive to expose the problems that are in capitalist system, to expose the problems that are there in democracy, and they struggle to change it.